This is our mentoring session for Standard 4. This is content knowledge. Mr. Borden is here. We're ready to do our mentoring session today.
Good morning. So again, as with the last lesson, I've seen just a great amount of growth in Mr. Litweiler in his teaching ability. On the very first one, it says, did the candidate introduce academic language and have students practice using it? I saw that in the classroom. He did use the academic language that was necessary for the minerals and rocks and so forth. And it even, what it did, it produced, encouraged the students to even ask some questions that Mr. Litweiler, answered for them. So I'm going to mark proficient in that area. Did he use technology? I saw technology again to include Mr. Litweiler had used, it appeared to be a PowerPoint. He showed it on the screen. Again, awesome tools for a teacher to use to keep the class engaged, to really help with classroom management. So I was glad to see that. Again, I'm going to mark him proficient there. Did the candidate recognize students' misconceptions and know how to correct them? So here again, I don't know if I saw much of that, but what I did see, and I'm still going to mark proficient here, is when a question was asked, what Mr. Litweiler did, what I think was very good, whenever you're asking questions and guiding the students, he gave his personal experience, and he gave what it meant to him, which right away triggered some of the students to ask questions that were related but really kind of a different topic. I believe it was talking about did the Indians or some group or Native Americans, something that they did during that time period. He talked about the Grand Canyon. It's great because a lot of the kids have an opportunity to actually go there, being here in Arizona. So he brought those experiences in, which were awesome, and it really, really worked well. Did the candidate use instructional resources appropriate? I'm going to say proficient again because I believe he has, as part of is a part of the benchmark, and so he has all that material. But what I like is now seeing that Mr. Litweiler is also appears to be putting other resources with that. Sometimes some of the benchmark material can be difficult for some students, whether it be ELL or something of that nature, or just the fact that they may not have experienced some of those things. Him having a PowerPoint, him having the Google Chromebooks available for them to anything maybe they didn't understand, they could look up on their own. So I believe he did use all the resources that he had in his classroom very appropriately, so I marked him proficient there. Definitely a proficient here. He did the candidate build on the students' prior knowledge and experiences as they taught the content. Yes, he talked about his experiences at the Grand Canyon, and that drew the kids into the experience of the Grand Canyon, not just from his perspective, but from maybe when they went. And I'm sure the conversation generated maybe for some of the students who have not been to the Grand Canyon, maybe to be a little excited and maybe want to go, especially with a spring break coming up. So the next one, did the candidate use multiple representations, explanations? I'm going proficient again, basically for all the same reasons. He used his experiences. He searched and dug for their prior knowledge. He used computers. He used PowerPoint. He definitely had something in front of them to use, graphic organizer of some type. And so everything that a student needed to learn was available for them. So again, he has just leaps and bounds where he's been, and I can only see him going higher. So it's enjoyable to be in his classroom.
All right, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make a comment on the where it says the students' misconceptions. And that's, to me, that's something that I felt to a certain degree I kind of had to let play out.
Yeah.
Meaning to really, pinpoint someone on, well, why haven't you been to the Grand Canyon?
Right,
Well, that's
right.
not fair.
Right.
I know there's plenty of adults that live in our state who haven't been to the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
And it's like, well, all it would do would make them feel bad. You know, maybe their life circumstances just haven't been able to go.
Right.
But yes, I talk about that, and I know one thing that I talked about when I went, it was in the summertime, and I've told kids, I'd like to go in the winter.
Right.
I know the perspective would be totally different in the winter. I
Yeah.
want to go sometime.
Yeah.
I need to make it happen.
Yeah.
I just haven't yet.
Right.
So I understand reasons why
Right.
kids may not have been able to go.
Absolutely.
But the misconceptions I asked about, you know, 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, what kind of things have you learned about the Grand Canyon? See if they could recall that
Okay.
to apply it to
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And I know that there's more specific studying they can do in high school, for example, or beyond, if geology is a real area of interest for them. So this is kind of a nice middle ground to kind of test that sort of thing with this lesson. So I was happy to do that.
I think you really generated that thought process in them, you know. And again, I didn't even think about that, the difference, how it looks in the winter, what animals you might see,
Yeah.
and so forth. And on that note, I lived here for almost 15 years, and we only went to the Grand Canyon a couple years ago. So
Yeah.
definitely, those are very, very valid points. So,
Yeah.
all right.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, Mr. Litwell, I'm serious though about